Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. Today we have an amazing topic to discuss, mind map. Mind map is a very powerful visual technique that organizes information and make it easier to recall, remember and analyze. Yes, all of this accomplished by mind map. Mind map actually could be used for various perspectives, for instance in business, for personal productivity and other aspects. And today I'd like to discuss what a mind map is, why it's so beneficial, why we have to use it, and how we can create one, and some of the practical tips to maximize its effectiveness, and a framework that I will discuss, and this is my preference and somehow customized approach from myself from other frameworks and other aspects. And finally I will provide you some of the tools that you can use for creating mind map. So let's get started. As I already discussed, mind map is a visual representation of ideas that your major idea in the center and other branches extending outwards. What do I mean by that? As you see here, I have created a, in my perspective, beautiful and cute mind map about mind map. Yeah, it's so weird, but it's absolutely fine. A mind map for a mind map. So this mind map, as you see, has a very beautiful graphical interface. And I have a central idea here. Central idea or major concept that I want to discuss is mind map. So instead of using, for instance, a text, I am using an image in order to make it easier to recall and remember. So this is mind map. This is my central idea. This is major idea, major topic. And then I have other branches like introduction, like benefits, like create, like frameworks, recommended tools, practical tips, and others. Okay? So this is my mind map, a central concept in the center of the page and the branches extending outwards. So I talked about definition, and it's created by Tony Buzan. Guys, mind map is actually how the brain naturally thinks. We've seen a lot of books, a lot of articles in various, categories, various subjects, and most of them pointing in linear perspective. What do I mean by that? This mind map is radial. As you see, this is how our brain naturally thinks. Not just in linear, again linear, it's radial, it's based on a circle. We have various categorization, we have different branches. Our brain thinks like this, not linearly. So Tony Buzan emphasizes on this part that our brain, we have to create a technique, we have to create a visualization technique that can mimic how brain thinks, and it's adaptable with our brain. And finally, it can help us for remembering, recalling, analyzing, and studying. And this is why we are using mind map. So guys, it's actually adapted for various purposes, as I told you. For instance, about, studying or constructing complex projects and break it down into smaller steps, and it make it easier for understanding. And as I told you, it's a great tool for studying as well, not just for the students, for other individuals as well. So let's talk about benefits. Why it's so beneficial, why we have to use mind map. We have 5 different benefits that I'd like to discuss: comprehension and memory boost. Actually, as you see, the mind map encompasses different things, different visual elements, like icons, like symbols, like images. And furthermore, instead of writing sentences, we are using keywords and key phrases, and it makes it easier again to recall and remember. So it actually can boost memory, and it's much easier to recall, and furthermore it enhances comprehension. It makes it easier to understand as well. Another part is about increased productivity. As I told you, mind map, it streamlines and it simplifies the complex idea and complex structures into smaller ones, into easier and straightforward, And finally, it boosts productivity, encourages creative thinking. You have a very broad freedom to explore more ideas. You are not limited, for instance, to a special boundary. You have freedom, you are free to go further and further and further as much as you think that, for instance, this point I should stop. So there is no limitation for you. You can enhance it, you can go further. And this is a weird point about mind map, that for instance, even for the same topic, even for the same page, different people can have different mind maps. And this is somehow, we can say that it's personalized, it's customized one. So mind map, it could be like this. Improves organizational skills. As you see here, guys, we have different subtopics around our major topic or categorizations. And for instance, if you want to add further information into your mind map, you just need to recognize which branch or category is more suitable, can correspond to your specific details, and then attach to your mind map. So it has a great organization, and you are not worried about organization anymore because everything is obvious. Where should I put this? Which category is correspond to my specific details? And should I add, for instance, another category, another branch, another subtopic? All of them can be done under this specific benefit. Engage whole brain thinking. It enables the left side of the brain is about the logical perspective, and the right side of the brain is about the creativity. It's actually engaged two parts of the brain, and it's somehow engaged comprehensively and holistically. So it's great for brain as well. I intentionally separated my customized way, my customized approach from frameworks, okay? And in this video, I'd like to discuss about my framework, not my framework, my customized framework from other frameworks. And maybe in later videos, I will talk about other frameworks as well. But for now, and in this time, I just like to discuss about my customized and my preferred one, because it's so simple and it makes it easier for everything, even for designing and other aspects. And this framework is somehow, in my perspective, this is not something that I can ensure, but in my perspective, these frameworks make it harder to create a mind map. Mind map should be easy and straightforward and easy to follow, based on something that Tony Buzan talked about it already. So based on his explanation and based on my research and based on various parts that I explored, this perspective, this framework, this way of creating mind map is more straightforward and easy to follow. Okay guys, let's get started. It's so simple, as I told you. We have to place our central concept or central topic in the center of the page, and then branches have to expand outwards. Okay, what do I mean by that? Guys, we have a major concept, we have a major topic in the center. For instance, I like to create a mind map for mind map. I like to create a mind map for healthy life. Okay, this is my major concept, major topic that I like to explore. So we have to specify which topic we like to explore, so it plays in the center. Then we have to create main branches or subtopics. This is so important. It could be like categorization. We have different categorization that's placed around our major topic, okay, here. And somehow it could be categorization, it could be ports, it could be different ideas. I don't know, it depends on your need. It depends on your preference, how you want to organize your information based on categorization, based on port, based on sections and others. So this is something that depends on your decision. For instance, about this mind map, I assuming different parts: introduction, benefits, create, frameworks, and etc. This is the way that I'm comfortable with. I don't say that this is the right way of creating mind map. So I just found it, this is more helpful and this is more easier to follow. So we have to place our central major topic in the center and main branches outwards. Okay, main branches, as it's obvious from its name, These are the main categorization, main subtopics to discuss, to explore. Guys, this is a really important point that I'd like to mention right now, is based on Tony Buzan explanation, please don't write too much. Okay? For each topic, major topic, branches, secondary branches, and etc., just use single words, keywords, or finally short phrases. Don't use sentence in your mind map, because as Tony Buzan talked, it restricts you and won't allow you to go further. And our brain are much better with keywords, with short phrases, not sentences. We cannot memorize so many sentences, but we can memorize keywords. So please focus to this point and use just keywords and short phrases. Don't use sentences at all. Again, it could be your preference that I like to use, for instance, sentence. I like to write sentences, but you have more and maximize effectiveness if you use phrases and keywords, because there are so many study and exploration for this, and Tony Buzan's explore all of this. And from 1960, this is the final point that we shouldn't use sentences. But again, if you prefer to use sentences, it's okay. Just test it, just examine, and just assess your situation, that is it effective or should I change my mind. The next step after creating main branches is to create additional sub branches. Go further for creating more. For example, as you see here, introduction, we have secondary branches, definition, origins, and other information, specific details under this category, under this subtopic. So you can go further. Again, from benefits, more secondary branches, and etc. You can go further. It's based on your preference. So we can add secondary and tertiary or quaternary branches as well. The step number 4 is using colors, images, and other visual elements. Guys, this is so important. Our brain is much better with visual elements rather than just seeing some of the written text. We have to use different symbols, different icons, because they're more attractive. They are making easier to remember, to recall, and analyze. In this mind map, I have used different icons, different images. As you see here, different colors, such as this one. This is orange, this is a vivid color, an icon that corresponds to this color. And furthermore, again, more colors, more symbols, more icons. And sometimes you can use images rather than texts like this, and it's absolutely fine, and it makes it easier to recall and remember. Or you see here another visual elements. I used round rectangle around my text as well. All of this can be great. This is based on your creativity, and you can use different colors and different things. And here there's a particular point that I like to mention, that you can use reverse engineering. Reverse engineering, it could be useful for various aspects. In this part, you can see different examples, different images, different mind maps, and you can take some ideas from all of them and finally combine them together to create your customized one. So don't worry if you don't know how to create one, or what symbols, what icons, what images you have to use. Just see and look for other samples, especially the good ones, and then try to mimic them, try to use them in your mind map, and finally you will find your preference, you will find your style. So don't worry about it at all, and use reverse engineering to find out more advanced, more great ones, and then mimic it, and finally you reach your style. Step number 5, this is the major difference from other frameworks about connecting related ideas. In my customized approach, please guys, don't connect additional branches or sub branches to each other. In this mind map, you see the connection is all about the major concept to the branches, and branches to second branches, or tertiary or quaternary, not each sub branches to each other, not branches to each other. For instance, I don't connect introduction to the benefits or benefits to the create, even they are related to each other. Again, it's based on Tony Buzan explanation. Make it easier, make it straightforward to follow. If I connect them together, I just make it harder to follow. I just make it harder, make it more complex. And this is not something that I can suggest you. In other frameworks, especially the Grind framework, we have different parts that discuss about this one, related, about the interconnected, about the connection between branches or sub branches. And this is not something that I can suggest you to do because it makes it more complex, and our brain is against complexity. You have to make it easier to remember. So based on extra connection, you will lose simplicity, and this is not something that I can suggest you. Only under very particular circumstances, for instance, if I don't connect these branches together, I will lose something more importantly. So just for particular circumstances, but as much as you can, avoid additional connections. Another branch is about how we can make our mind map more attractive. I already discussed, but as a reminder, we can use vibrant colors, relevant images, symbols, or icons, stickers, or anything that is related to our mind map and make it more attractive. So please consider just like a child that loves colors, visual elements. This is not about children, it's about adults as well. So don't underestimate using visual elements. They are so efficient, and we have many researches about this point. And please don't underestimate. Just consider ourselves like kids that we love symbols, visual elements, colors, symbols, stickers, and etc. Be ensured that you are giving sufficient space to details, branches, sub-branches, and etc. to avoid clutter. We have to consider our mind map should be neat and clean to have enough space to follow the exact information that we are seeking. Symmetry for visual appeal. For instance, here I have 4 categories, 4 branches on the right side and 4 branches on the left side, and I tried to use symmetry perspective. But this is not mandatory. If you can do this, is much easier for brain to remember it. And finally, key idea highlighting. Text format for key idea highlighting. As it's obvious, you can highlight special or particular details, branches, or I don't know, about bolding something, and use various techniques that you can find them on the internet in order to draw attention to the major critical information of your mind map. Another part is about advanced technique. Advanced technique are very useful for you if you can use them. Here we have 4 techniques. Chunking. About grouping related ideas. The major idea behind chunking is just break down the information into smaller parts, not just consider a very complex project itself. We have to break it down. So we have to chunking in order to create branches and make it easier. And focus mapping is one of the amazing techniques that you can use. At first, maybe it's so hard for you to create a mind map as a whole. So avoid this, and you can just start by each branch in another separate mind map. For example, about enhance, about how to make it attractive, you can create another mind map, and enhance or make it attractive is the major concept, major topic, and then these are the branches. I know that here won't need it for creating another mind map, but consider that we have tertiary, we have quaternary branches on the left side, so it's more bit complex, and maybe it could be useful for you to create another mind map. And finally, after creating separate mind maps, you integrate them together as a major mind map. Role assignments. If you are working under a team or you are a leader, you can assign each branch to each team member, and finally you integrate them together. It could be great. And time boxing is about setting time for not getting into very details. It could be great to time boxing. It could be push you for doing this as soon as possible and avoid getting into so much details. More practical tips about regular review and updating as the first tip. Mind map can be a dynamic tool, and regular updating it can help you to incorporate new information and new insight, because as I told you, for instance, you have a fundamental mind map and then you try to add new information and insight. Please consider this part, that regularly review your mind map and try to update it. Try to use different layouts until you find your best one, until the one that is more suitable for you And as I already told you, use reverse engineering from different examples, different samples, and finally you can find your own style. And it's just not limited to samples. It could be, for instance, about formats. This is radially, you can use it linearly, radially, combination, and others. And finally, you can use this mind map as an alternative to traditional slideshows because it's more flexible. And as I told you, we have so many symbols, we have so many images, icons, and it make it more attractive, and it could be useful for presentation as well. And the final part that I'd like to discuss about some of the recommended tools, you see the Lucidcharts, MindMasters, Xmind, iMindMap, and others. All of them could be useful for you. I already used Lucidcharts in another part about software engineering. I didn't like graphic, I didn't like the user interface, but it's your preference because it's so common among people. You can use them or other softwares. Some of them maybe have application. I haven't explored all of these applications, but for later videos maybe I will dive deep into some of these applications and will provide you tutorials. But I use MindMaster. It's great application, and the software that I created this mind map that you are watching now is iMindMap. And another application is Gitmind. Again, it could be good for you. It's more affordable related to the other websites, and all of this can be useful for you. Okay guys, the major goal, the major idea behind the mind map, as I told you, is just break it down into a smaller part and make it attractive. I don't know, using just key information in order to make it easier to recall and remember and studying. And don't be obsessed with various applications. Just, for instance, opt for one of these and try to work on them, and in the future if you need, you can change them. Don't obsess with choosing which one is more suitable for you. Just try to using a mind map at first, and then you can change your application. So don't worry and don't obsess. Okay guys, let's have a recap together about what we discussed today. Mind map is a visual representation of ideas that the major concept in the center of the page and the branches extending outwards. We talked about the benefits why we have to use mind map, about the memory boost, about the productivity, about creative thinking and organizational skills and whole brain thinking. I told you that in mind map we are using just keywords, short phrases, colors, symbols, images, different colors, and we are making more attractive, and we are using it in radially, not linearly. Our brain naturally thinks. And finally, it engage our brain from logical part. Logical part, it's the left side of the brain, and creativity on the right side of the brain. And about organization, about various categorization and branches and subtopics that we have. I told you about the creation, major idea in the center. We are creating branches, primary branches, and then if we prefer to extend more, we can add secondary branches, tertiary branches, and quaternary branches. We use different colors, images, symbols, and etc. And finally we connect them together. And I prefer to do a step number 5 in throughout this process, not just waiting for step number 5 to accomplish them. I try to connect them. For instance, after creating primary branches, I try to connect the central concept to the main branches, and then primary branches to the secondary, and secondary to the tertiary, and etc. I told you there are more frameworks to discuss, but I prefer the customized one from myself and learning from other frameworks and other ways of creating a mind map, and I will discuss them maybe in the future. We already talked about how we can enhance our visual appealing about mind map and how we can make it more attractive by using vibrant colors, relevant images, sticker symbols, and others, and provide sufficient space for each part in order to avoid clutter and symmetry. And finally, we can use different text formats like bolding or highlighting in order to draw attention to the most critical information of our mind map. We talked about advanced technique about break it down into a smaller categories, into a smaller branches. About the focus mapping, try to create separate mind map for each branches and finally integrate them together. About role assignment, each branch is assigned to particular team members and finally we integrate them together. And time boxing, about set time limits for creating to avoid getting bogged into details. Other practical tips like regular review and updating. I told you it could be like dynamic tool and we can enhance it. Finally, it's more easier to update because we have branches and sub branches, so adding more information is not something difficult. And experiment with layouts. I told you about reverse engineering. Try to use different layouts, try to use different samples in order to find the one that is more adaptable for you. And finally, it could be an alternative solution for presentation because it provides you more clarity, more organization, and flexibility, and it's visually appealing for audiences. And some of the recommended tools, these are most common among people, but again, it's your preference to opt for each of this. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video and I hope you found it helpful, and I will see you in the later videos. Love you, bye bye.